I've been traveling the world with my wife for over 5 years now. We've visited over 40 different countries and we've created a list of 13 rules to make sure that we make the most out of every single place we visit. So in this video, I'm going to go through all of them, starting with number 1. We always book at least one night in a really nice or fancy place in each destination that we visit. This one is honestly just an excuse to treat ourselves and go out in a fancier place than usual, and to make sure that no matter where we go, we're always going to have at least one really good, memorable experience. We usually don't start with this when we arrive somewhere new, but it's a good one to have in the middle of your trip somewhere. Rule number 2 is that we always attend a local cooking class. Honestly, I like to cook, but I love to eat even more. So this is just an excuse to try new things, but it's also a really good way to immerse yourself in the culture and very often to discover new ingredients. There's so many places you can visit where you've never seen any of the vegetables or fruits or ingredients that you're cooking with. This is a really good way to learn something new and to add new recipes to your book that you might be able to bring back home with you. Rule number 3 is focus on food again. We always go out to explore at least one local food market. It usually ends up being way more than one, but this is a really good way to go and try new foods, discover new things, and try some of the street food specialties. We have a general rule for trying new food is that if locals are eating it, we're gonna eat it too. I might have to sit on the toilet for a couple days, but I'm not gonna die, and it's probably worth the risk. Rule number 4, this one is specifically for digital nomads. We always spend a minimum of 1 month in each destination. The only times where we break this rule is if we're doing some small vacations or something, but most of the time it's always 1 month and usually way more. This is just to make sure that we don't experience a new place as tourists, but to make sure that we actually immerse ourselves and experience the local way of life. Rule number 5, we always try to engage in a local community event or group in order to meet new people, discover the local way of life, and actually learn new things. Doing this in the first few days when you arrive somewhere always opens up so many new possibilities and so many new activities that you never would have expected. You quickly connect with new people, locals will invite you out to new things, and everything starts from there. Rule number 6. Language lesson. Always try to make sure that you learn at least a couple basic sentences in the local language wherever you go. It's going to make your life so much easier, but people also really like it. Even if your accent is absolute garbage, people always like that you're at least just trying. This is one of those cases where clearly you're not going to be fluent, but it's the thought that counts. Rule number 7 is to always put aside a couple days to go into tourist mode and explore some of the must-see sites and highlights of the location you're in. Rule number 8 is to always make an effort to form at least one new local friendships, and other tourists or digital nomads do not count. First of all, it's really cool to become friends with locals. They're going to show you so many things and it's going to help you enrich your understanding of the place. You also get a really new cool friendship that can serve as a guide. They're going to show you so many different things. They're going to make you try so many new different things. So it's always worth it. And of course, you're going to learn so much more about the place you're in when you're with a local. One of the best ways we've found to do this is honestly when you're at a restaurant or you're eating out, if the server or something is really nice, just ask to connect on Instagram, ask for their number or something, and invite them out to eat or to an activity. This works pretty much all the time. Rule number 9, try new things and add them all to a map. So this goes for restaurant, bars, activities, clubs, whatever. Everything you enjoyed, put it on a map so you have it for the future so you can always come back to it. It gives you a reason to come back to that place. Plus, over time, you're building a database of some of your highlighted recommendations pretty much that you can then share with other people as well. Rule number 10, we always attend at least one cultural celebration, show, festival, concert, or whatever. First, because it's really fun, and 2, because you get to understand and learn more about local traditions. Rule number 11, we always tend to take some time to explore the natural landscape. So that could be a hike, could be a walk on the beach, could be a walk on the park, whatever it is, but putting aside some time to explore not just the city and big activities, but also some of the natural things. More often than not, we just randomly stumble on really cool things, on really cool sites, meeting new people, trying new foods. It just kind of happens naturally once you start putting yourself out there and going out for walks. Rule number 12, visit at least one historical site or museum to learn more about the past of the place you currently call home. And ideally, watch a documentary. If you do this towards the beginning of your trip, I swear it's going to change the way you look at the place you're in. And it's really good to learn about the history of the place you're in from the local point of view instead of from whatever you might have learned at school. Right now, I'm in an Airbnb in Vietnam, for example, and I went to school in the Swiss and the French system. So we didn't learn a lot about Vietnam, and everything we learned was always from the Western point of view. And so now visiting a museum in Vietnam with the local perspective is a completely different experience from what I learned back home. And very often the stories don't always match. That's really interesting. And finally, rule number 13, capture as many photos and videos of the place you're in as possible, and not just the highlights, but just daily life in general. You always tend to just remember the highlights of your trip and the most important and impactful events. But there's so many little things that you might have enjoyed on the moment, just a nice little coffee or a nice little view, or even just a walk in the park, that you forget with time, that actually made your experience there really enjoyable, but you didn't capture it and you forget it with time. One thing to be careful of here is that it's really important to delete most of that stuff. First part is, of course, shooting a lot, but then second part is filtering all that. Maybe you can do the filtering a couple weeks later, but only keep the best part so that when you go through your camera roll, it's actually enjoyable and you don't have 15 times the same picture. All right, those were our 13 rules for traveling. So thank you so much if you're still watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if there's other rules that you think we should add to our list, or if you have your own rules that you think are great or other versions of these rules, please let me know in the comments. Every time we travel, I really want to make sure that we enjoy the new place as much as possible and make the most out of it. So any rules, any suggestions or ideas that you might have, I'm all open. So thanks so much for watching and peace out.